Hello everyone, today I am making a guide to show you how to create a new scene using Unity and import that scene into Hollow Knight. This will not be covering editing video scenes that are already in Hollow Knight, but new ones entirely. So, to get started, you'll want to get Blender and Unity. You have to get Unity 2017.4.10. Just download it here. And besides that, you also need the asset bundle browser. You want to go to the site on GitHub and just download the source code. And that should come as a zip file, which you can just extract, and we will use this folder later. No installation required in this case. Alright, so next you want to open up Blender. You should be greeted with a scene like this. And what you do is there's also going to be a cube here. You can just delete that. Anyways, then you come to add, and you go to meshes, and then to plane, and this makes a plane. Now with the plane selected, you want to go to this section here and change some of the transform stuff. You want to make this part -16, this part 16 meters, this part, let's see, 90 degrees, and 180 degrees, and then you just want 16, 16, 16 for all of these. And then you also want to switch your, oh gosh, shoot, this to the plane to this, and I am not very good at using Blender, I am sorry. I cannot use it. This is actually the first time I'm making a new scene too, so that's why. Anyways, so then you got this. So once you do this, you want to change to modeling, and again, fix our perspective and all. Oh gosh. Okay. Then you want to select the plane, right click, and click subdivide once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times. I did not select it properly. You have to actually select it like that. Anyways, so once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And this essentially, each of these little squares is going to be a Unity unit. So it gives you this gives you a giant block of Unity units to mess around with, which makes editing super easy, or creating new stuff. Alright, so once we have this block, what we want to do is start messing around with it. We can use the select tool. I'll use the circle select to make some type of pattern, like this, and then you right click on it, and then you can delete the vertices, and it'll make like a hole kind of thing that the knight could definitely be going through, I guess. Oh, actually, we also want to probably put an entrance of some kind. So we'll do select, box, select. I guess that wasn't really necessary, and just, my bad. Delete vertices there, and yeah, this can work. To export this, what you want to do is select your region, and then all you have to do is go to File, Export, wavefront or .obj object file, and you want to go to wherever you want, probably in your Unity folder, but I'll just drag it in myself, and I'll name this room border.obj, and then you export. And then if we go here, it should be here. Yep. Alright then, now let's get started. So I've gone ahead and opened up a Unity project. You can just make a new 2D Unity project, and that's good enough. And what you want to do after that is to just grab your .obj file, object file, and drag it into Unity. You can put it in a folder if you want. Also, you want to make a scene for this, so I'll just make a scene right now. Room, new room, and then enter it by double clicking. Don't really need the camera, and then we come back here and you can just drag it out, and boom, this is our room in Unity. So now we want to set up the actual border. So we don't really, don't want that. Room border like that. All right. Anyways, so that we've done that, we can add the actual border, which is an edge collider 2D. Essentially, you come down here and you start editing the collider. So we put it like this. This is kind of time consuming. You don't actually have to be like super accurate about it, because there's a way to fix it pretty well. You just select them like that, this, and so on and so forth. Let's do that. Well, let's do that, do that, do that, do that. Like, you don't need to be accurate at all. So once you do it, do the whole thing, presumably, but I'll do that off screen. Then you come here and all you have to do is start rounding these numbers under the point section. So if it's 4.02, you do 4. If it's this, you do 8. Do 4 here. You do 8 here, 5 here, 9 here, 5, 9, 8, 8, 8. And as you can see, it's starting to work. Oh, why didn't that one work? Which one is that? Well, let's just keep going. This one is 8, this one's 9, 9, 9, 9, 13, 10, 13. Let's see, it's like going super nicely. But yeah, it is kind of annoying that you have to do this. Maybe there's a better way, I'm not sure. But if there isn't, this isn't too bad either. It's not like, you don't have to think too much about it, right? But yeah, you do all that, and boom, look how nice it turned out. But yeah, you have to do it for the whole thing though, which I'll do off screen now. While I'm doing this, I should also point out that everything I know here is actually from someone on Discord named SFGrenade. They figured all this out, so credits to them and thanks to them for helping. Another thing to note is that this is probably why you shouldn't use a circle to cut this stuff, because it makes a lot of these step thingies, step-like intrusions, which are really annoying to do because it's just really time consuming. So if you are going to use a circle, go back through it after you're done and make it more smooth. Yeah. On a different note, it would be nice if someone could make a Unity extension that would just round stuff for you when you told it to. That would be very nice. 56, please make that. Okay, so once all that is done, you want to go back to your downloads folder and to remember the asset bundle browser we downloaded, you want to drag that and place it into the main assets folder of your Unity project. Once you have that, it'll take a little while for Unity to register that and reload, but once it's done, there should be a asset bundle browser section under your window ribbon thing. You click that, and once you have that, let's make a new bundle, and let's call it new scene, or no, new bundle. Let's just call it that, just in case. And then once you have that, all you have to do is go to your scene, right, and be sure that you've saved everything, and you drag the new room and you put it into the bundle. And now it's done essentially. So you just go to build and you build it into the place you want to build it to. I want it to be built to Yeah, that's where I want to. Okay. This shouldn't take it very long, maybe like a minute, 30 seconds, 10 seconds. Yeah. Alright, so here we have all the stuff it gave us, but we really only care about this. None of this actually matters. So what you want to do is, now we can actually get started on the coding part, now that we have everything set up, and we have this file. Now you want to open up the IDE, C# IDE of your choice. I'm going to be using Router because I'm an idiot. Once you do that, you want to make a new solution. And then here under .NET, you want to select class library and name it whatever you want. I'll say scene tutorial. And you want to give it where you wish to save this project. That's where I want it to save it. It's C#, .NET. I think you actually have to choose 3.5. Yes, I just checked. You do need version 3.5. Alright, just had to make sure. Yep. And you just press create now. And wait for years and years and years until it finishes. Okay, so this opens up. And first thing we want to do is go to the folder we made this in. Go to scene tutorial, and here let's make a folder to put our bundle in. I'll name this folder bundle, and then we go to the place where the new bundle was, and we put it in. As easy as that. That's not needed anymore. And then we also need to go to our CS project. I know there's a better way to do this, but this is how I've always done it. So you come here. Technically, you can put it pretty much anywhere inside the project, but yeah, well, I'll just put it here just so it's next to all the classes. Anyways, you have this, right? And we actually named it bundle. And I can't remember what I named it. New bund. Okay. So we do new bund. And then save and close this. And now if we come back, see the folder is here now, which is good. So now we want to get started on some actual modding. Okay, so first we want to, oh, right, you should know all this already from the API docs or asking you around or looking at the mods. So I'll be going mostly quickly through this to not waste time, but you want to add the references to Unity stuff, right? So you go to your Hollow Knight managed folder and you pick all the right stuff like the assembly C# and all that. Okay, I went ahead and set up the stuff. I also got hiccups, so this might be painful. I'm sorry. Okay. Um, so I'll just go over it really quickly, even though you should know everything here. So we have the initialize method. I don't have the. There's a second overload to it. Overload to this, which has like preloader stuff, but we don't really need that, so we can just go forward. Also, I'm storing our asset bundle, which is the name of the scene thing we made and put here. We're going to store that in a dictionary. We don't need to store it in a dictionary because we're only going to be working with one asset bundle, but I copied this from somewhere else, and that's why, and I'm too lazy to change it. Anyways, let's just make this static too, just to make our job easy. And then, so here we initialize that, unload, just unhook some stuff, and here we hook these things, and then this is where we actually get the new bund. Also noteworthy to point out is that you don't actually need to do all this. You can just do asset bundle load from stream and just put s in there, and essentially just replace that with that and delete all this. Like you can do that. I don't know why, but I do it this way just in case, because I did it that way once and it didn't work for some reason, and I was probably doing something super wrong, but whatever. Uh, this should be load from memory. Okay, and this should not shoot. You know what? Just Control C. Okay, there you go. But yeah, that's that. This is the stuff that happens when the game saves. Like we want to start load scene once the player starts a new scene. That's what that does. So anyways, so once this runs, now what do we want to do? We want to start loading our scene. So that's what I shall talk about now. So this is what we want to do. I'm going to go through different approaches of loading the scene. This is the most basic, but also the worst way to do it. It's going to look terrible. It might not even work. We'll see. But yeah, we have the IEnumerator here so that we can choose when to load the new scene. So yeah, so whenever I press R, it's going to load the night into the new scene. And then here we get the name of the bundle, and here we just load it using that. Another thing we have to do though is choose where the night should spawn, right? One thing I just realized is that this is not starting from 0, 0 right now, which is wrong because in Hollow Knight, if you go into the negatives, you can't go into the negatives. So in each scene, so all you have to do is just change that to 0 and change that to 0. Yeah, and that'll fix it. As for where the night should spawn, I'm using this as a point, and if we want the night to spawn, then 1.31, 5.77 is good. So, whoops. All you do is transform, just in case, let's put a yield return new wait, just in case, and then, no, not that. Hero controller dot instance dot transform dot position to set the nights to 1.31, 5.77. 1.31, 5.77. Yeah. Alright. But don't forget that because we changed it, because we changed where room border was, we have to change, we have to redo the asset bundling, which is a good time to also change the layer because all walls and things the knight can climb on should be layer, it should be layer 11, I think. It's either 8 or 11. I'll check. Yeah, it's layer 8 and it's called terrain. So we come here. We choose add layer. We choose layer 8. Call it terrain. And then come back here again and set it to that. And that's it pretty much. So then we go to asset bundle browser, a new bundle. I mean, it should already be loaded, so we shouldn't have to do anything. Yeah. So, well, we do have to do something, but we don't have to edit this again. So we come here and we press build and we wait. And then you just drag and drop it back into this folder. If you didn't already set Unity, like you could have changed this to that folder, but yeah, I didn't because I'm dumb. Alright, so now we want to compile. Now that we're done, we save and compile. And we go to scene tutorials bin. You should know this part, but just in case. You grab scene tutorial.dll, go to your mods folder, and you paste it in. You do not want 5 minutes to be there. No spoilers. Anyways, alright, so now you run the game. Alright, so let's test it. I press R, and okay, so as you can see, it worked, right? Every Everything seems to be working correctly. The ceiling is working correctly. But yeah, it actually worked better than I expected, to be honest. But yeah, this is just the first way of doing it. And obviously we don't want the player to just spawn there. We want them to walk into the room in this case. So we'll change stuff. And also we want there to be particles and sound and all that. But I probably won't be covering all that in this tutorial. To get the night to transition in properly with all the effects and everything, you need to use gateways. What I usually do and what I think most people do is create um, create the gateway in Unity, but not actually asset bundle it. Use code to do that. But we want to know how all the positioning should work, so we just use Unity as a way to look at what it should look like. So this is what mine looks like. It's going to be a game object with a box collider 2D, and the only thing we care about is the size essentially. This offset, we actually just want it to be 0, 0. But yeah, so 6. The settings are going to be 0.5, 6, and 1 and 4. So in Unity, I have this create gateway method that I'll go over, but yeah, you make the gate, you set its position, and you use this thing called you added a transition point class to it, and then if you want it to, if you're using the gateway as a way for the player to go in and out, then you're gonna do this as well. But otherwise, you're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do this for now, just to make actually we'll keep it. Why not? No reason not to, right? Actually, no, we're not gonna do it. But yeah, just since we don't really want the player to come back out, because then we have to make a gateway in the original scene, and I don't feel like doing that. You set whether the knight's gonna come out left or come out right, and then hazard respawn marker is the thing that is used if the knight hits spikes or things that force them to respawn. Then you need to have this, so that's why. We actually want this to be plus 3f in our case. Technically, I should really change this method so that it's plus or minus depending on whether the player is coming out left or right, but it doesn't really matter right now. This is just to show you how it works. And yeah, this stuff is also for that. Alright, and then the other thing we use is this begin the scene transition. This is, instead of using load scene, Unity's load scene, this is the game's own way of doing it, and you specify the name of the entry gate you put here. We don't want it to be that. Yeah, that should be fine. And you have to choose specific words for the name of the entry gate. It's like left, right, door, dream. Yeah, it depends on what you want the knight to do specifically. You're gonna have to use dnSpy to figure that out, or someone's gonna make a documentation on that, hopefully eventually, right? Yep. Also, good to note that we don't use scene path anymore here, because scene path gives you the entire path name, which is more than just the name. Instead, we're just gonna use new room, which is what I called mine. Remember when I dragged this into the asset bundle? This is the scene this is in. So yeah, that's why new room is here instead of scene path. I decided to go more in depth in this before I delete it, so I'll do that. essentially, this is once you come out of this gate, if you want to go back, you have to go through the gate again, right? And this lets you do that. Um, and all you do is create a box collider for this gateway. You set its size, its trigger, and the target scene. So this is the scene you're going to go back to. And then in that scene, the original scene that you came from, this is the name of the gateway you want to start at once you try to go back. And these are the parameters that correlate to those, right? To scene and entry gate. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, well, I can just explain it on Discord. I feel like it's easier through text, honestly, but whatever. To actually make sure we create the gateway, we are going to use a hook from Game Manager called enter hero. And this runs whenever the hero enters the scene. So this is the actual method for it. And we're gonna fill this out later for the next part, but for now we're just gonna have new bundle. And here we have create gateway. Our gateway's name is left because we're starting from the left side and going right. That's how you determine it. The position and size are the same as what we saw in Unity. The to scene is GG Atrium because we want to get back to God Home if we enter through the left again. And the entry gate for that is right for now. Right is false, left is true, because again, that's left. I could fix that in the method instead of forcing it to be a thing players have to set though, but I just haven't done that. And the visualization is default. The visualization depends on what you want to do. Like there's a Coliseum one, Dream one, Grim one, God Home one, but we want the default one for now. This should work. Hopefully it works, but we'll see. So we again compile and run the game. Oh, we have to actually drag this into my mods folder. Alright. I just realized I made a mistake. When we go to here, the name isn't new bund, it's new room. I was getting confused with the bundle. This is new room. I can't read. Alright, that should be it. Let's actually test now. Alright, so let's begin testing. We press R, and it spawned us in. And if we try to go back, it fails. Why does it fail? Well, I'll answer that in the next part. So, why it fails is because we tell it that when it goes back to GG Atrium, it's going to find a new gate called write test, but this doesn't exist in the base game, which is why we need to have the same thing here. Except obviously everything flipped. What this also allows us to do before I complete that is to not have to use this anymore, because now the player can just go into the scene, just walk into the place you tell it to, and they come out of the other side. You don't need to do all this, essentially. Yes. Okay, so I deleted all that useless stuff, so now we just have on enter hero as a void. And I found the place where the bench is in the atrium, and I just added 5 to it so that it's to the right side. You have to flip this obviously, and flip these two. You should know why. And yeah, that's pretty much the only changes I had to make. So let's just go ahead and test this. Alright, so if we walk to the right, it should... Okay, yeah, see? And now if we go back, it works. If we go forward, and there you go. Yep. So if you notice, the lighting is super weird. That's because it's copying God home's lighting because it thinks that it's in a God home room. Um, yeah, and we need to basically go and change different settings to get that to work. I've decided to not go too deep into how to make the scene look better and better, mostly because I don't know much myself since I haven't done this much at all. But and also because this tutorial has already gotten long enough. But I will talk about Scene Manager. Scene Manager controls different settings on the camera and what your scene is going to look like. You can use this hook right here to change it based on which scene you're in. So right now, for example, if you do this, it'll make it look like Queen's Gardens. Royal Gardens is Queen's Gardens. And it lets you, so it would look green, basically. You can change the saturation, how dark it is. You can change the music too, I believe, self-dot. Or maybe not, sound? I think you can, if I remember correctly. But there's a lot of different things that you can, the snapshot is what it's called. So yeah, that's one way to change it. We'll try that right now and see what it looks like. So yeah, I also added this and this if statement, which gets updated here in the game manager, just so we can see which scene we're in and apply our coloring when we want to. So yeah, let's actually get to testing. Once we go into that room, it should be green instead of the got home yellow, so we'll try that. And yeah, basically, as you can see, it looks like it has the Queen's Gardens coloring to it. Obviously, this will look a lot better once you have an actual background in place and you put textures on these blocks instead of making them so blocky, so that they're not so blocky. And that's pretty much the end to this tutorial. I won't be covering how to control the camera and just other small things because this tutorial has already become too long. Hopefully you didn't get bored through it, and hopefully my voice wasn't too annoying, the microphone. Yeah, and that's it. Hopefully you learned. Good luck.